Chatty House. We ballin', boy. We going up at the Chatty House. We talk about it all, bring the family out. Sub to the channel, hit the likes now. And we only going up when the lights down. Yeah, we just getting started. Ain't no party like a Chatty House party. We just getting started. Ain't no party like a Chatty House party.
What up? What up? You know what time it is. It's a Chatty House after party. The crew is in full effect. Everybody here. Let's go. Let's go. We know it's opening night, preseason for the Kings. And before we get into that, and the Kings.
Sorry, man. But
and the Warriors. Well, it's not opening night for y'all. Didn't y'all play already?
Yeah, that's besides the point, dude.
So there we go. It's not y'all opening night. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, bro. All right, before we get into that and bring our boy Will Z on, we're going to talk a little bit of NFL as much as Chiron doesn't really want to do it. We're going to do it.
We don't have to talk NFL at all. We could just skip right over it.
We're going to talk. But before we do all this, we got to do a little bit congratulations, right? A little bit of congratulations for our boy Young Zell and Kiana. They had their newborn baby girl. Yeah, Kansley. Welcome to the Chatty House. That's what I'm talking about. Welcome to the crew. Got a baby member. Have to get her a little Chatty House after party onesie. Get a little onesie made. You know what I'm saying? So congratulations to them. We can start off with real quick with we're going to talk Niners and Raiders. What's wrong with them? What's going on with both of them? I think we kind of already know what's up with the Raiders, right? They're still in kind of a, I don't know, what would you say, Dr. David? I wouldn't say a rebuild mode, but like,
man, they're too dumb to rebuild. It's like I'm telling you, they're going to do like they always do. They're going to be in no man's land. They're going to be 5-6 wins, maybe even a little bit more. They're going to win some meaningless games, and they're not going to be in position to do anything to change their roster. Because, I mean, they have to change that roster. The defense is doing okay, but, you know, that offensive side of the ball right now is this. I don't know what their plan is. A lot of that has to do with Devontae Adams being out, but I mean, their solution, like somebody over there thought that it was a good idea to go in with Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell. Now I know that quarterbacks just don't fall out of the sky, but I mean that was their plan to get Devontae Adams to buy in, Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew. So I mean I think the Raiders are going to be stuck in that again in that no man's land where they're picking, you know, in the 10th, 11th, or 12th spot and not being able to change the fortune of their team. So, I mean, that's just what's going on with the Raiders right now. Their roster is okay on the defensive side of the ball, but they have nowhere to go.
What made them think that after the disaster of Garoppolo last year, that if they didn't go out and actually get a bona fide quarterback, that Devontae Adams wasn't going to flip the hell out at some point, knowing that the clock is ticking on his career? Really, right? He's a wide receiver. He's still a good wide receiver, but you know, every year it kind of reminds me of I don't know why I went blank because it's for the Bears, but they not Alshon Jeffries, but I forgot the
Brandon Marshall. Brandon Marshall?
No, it was more recently.
Allen Robinson.
Yes, Allen. Yeah. I don't know why it was stuck in my head. Allen Robinson was a great receiver. Goes to the Bears and just languishes there for and he kept re-signing, so part of it was his fault too. But it's like, bro, you're never going to get a quarterback here. You're wasting to me, he had Hall of Fame talent, and it got wasted in Chicago. Like, if I was him, I'd be bitter as hell. But it's the same thing.
Manny, you warned us about Getsy.
I mean, I swear, awful, bro.
I can't remember it was you or John last year. And I swear it's exactly how the game plan is going. You're talking about no creativity. That dude's whole offense is run, and then pass on 3rd and long. You know, I mean, that's pretty much all they do. There's no creativity to the running game. It's power right up the middle all the time. Go right into the A and run up the middle, and that's it.
Dub 916 says, what quarterback was out there for them to get? There was plenty of quarterbacks or even draft or move up in the draft.
I think that's the thing, bro. I think their plan A and B was a Penix. Excuse me, pause. And I feel like once he got taken, I feel like that kind of like obviously Bowers is trying to be a great pick, but I think that their plan was they were going to draft a quarterback in the first round, but then Penix got taken and Bo Nix got taken, so I think they kind of got caught with their pants down. You know what I mean? And then they didn't have a that was their plan. They didn't really have a backup plan, so
it's kind of like one of those things too. Two to tango, but they couldn't.
Had a little James
Arnold or Cousins or anybody. I mean, I don't know. It's hindsight right now, but I think you're right, Drew. I think their plan was to draft Penix, but once that went out the window, I guess they had to go through the who they got. But
you gotta have.
Nobody saw that coming, right? Like with Atlanta, nobody thought Atlanta was taking a quarterback, right? They gave Cousins $100 million guaranteed. I think that's what kind of like started really throw a wrench in the first round was when Atlanta took Penix, because everybody figured that if Cousins are not taking a QB and teams below that figured like somebody's going to fall to us. So still you still got to be still got to be prepared.
If they would have drafted Penix, though, I mean, with that offensive line, I mean, Penix's other knee would have got messed up. I swear, their offensive line is horrible right now. Ramsey brings up a good point. Zamir White has been a shell of himself. The guy's been fumbling all over the place, and the offensive side of the ball does not look good. So I mean, you could pretty much sum up the Raiders right now as no plan. As much as it pains me to say, I don't think Antonio Pierce is that kind of guy. That he's a rah guy, but he's not a. I don't know. I guess we just don't know. What is his strategy? What is his philosophy?
But that's the other thing is like even when you talk about who they were supposed to pick, it's okay. That's plan A, but you're telling me you didn't have a plan B, C, and D? Right. Like, bro, that's management's job. There's no he wasn't there, so I guess we just do whatever. Like, bro, Uncle Rico was your plan B? Jesus Christ, man! Like, all of you should be fired for that. Like, that's just incompetence. That's just incompetence to me, man. Like,
that pretty much sums up the Raiders right there. Incompetence.
There, we're done with the Raiders.
I would say like all this off the field drama, I would say that's affecting them. But what's new? Like the Raiders always have off the field drama. So,
and this is facts right here. If you were going to go with AOC in week 6, you should have just started with AOC. He already knew the offense. He knew all the players. You didn't have to work him in. There's no way that you thought Gardner Minshew. Like, I like Gardner personally, but I never looked at it like he was that much of a difference over AOC. So I mean, it is what it is, man. But let's move on to the other side, which is the Niners. This is supposed to be the Super Bowl year, right? Like another last chance effort. And I said it to Kyle. I was like, I was worried from the beginning of the year that this would be every team has this run where if they don't win the Super Bowl, there's that 1 year extra where you still think they have a chance at just the bottom, whether it's the bottom little injuries or whatever the case may be. It's stuff like that. It happens, and this seems like it might be that year.
Kyron, you're the Niner fan, right?
Come on, man.
Did y'all know in the last 5 years that Buddy Hield has more 3-pointers made than Steph Curry? And did y'all know that? I didn't know that until just now.
We're not there yet. We're talking about 49ers.
I don't know. I mean, it's the same thing I've been talking about. There's too many injuries. Our defensive line can't get any pressure outside Nick Bosa. And even he's not really playing that well. And then our offensive line has been suspect all year. And we just got through the easiest part of our schedule. And we're 2-3. So what's that mean for the rest of the year? What was that?
Go ahead. No, my bad.
I mean, I don't see how. The only thing that's good is that we still have a chance to win an NFC West, which is hilarious to me that 2 or 3, we still have that chance. And we can take first spot with tomorrow's win, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I think they'll be tied, yeah.
We're still in it.
Yeah, so I mean, the idea
they're still in it for sure.
Yeah, but are we still in it to win the NFC West? Yes. Are we still in it to win the Super Bowl the way they are playing now? No.
No.
Yeah,
but luckily I mean, I know it's how you're playing at the end anyway before you hit the playoffs. Like if you can come in hot, then you're good. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the hottest team is usually the team that's rolling is going to be the one that makes the noise. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good for sure. I don't know if they're predicted. I just see so many things. It's not like it's just, hey, CMC's not there, or hey, this person on the defense is like it's everybody.
Yeah.
There's a little bit.
Can't convert in the red zone, man. They're the first teams in the NFL in the red zone this season. And I mean, you could say the losses to the Rams and to the Cardinals came down to a couple plays, but it's like if you would have converted, a couple of them field goals into touchdowns, then they're not in that position in the first place. So I mean, I know CMC is a huge weapon down there in the red zone, but he can't, be the only thing. You still got Kittle, you still got Devo, you still got IU, you got Juszczyk, you got Mason. I mean, there's plenty of options. I don't know if it's execution. I'm not sure what the issue is, but they're going to kick field goals instead of touchdowns. Like I don't care who you're playing. Like that's not a recipe for success. So I think that defense obviously has been questionable, but I feel like the red zone offense hasn't been good at all. It's been one of the worst in the NFL, and if that doesn't improve, I don't see them going very far at all.
But we've never been a great red zone offense. We've been good, but we've never been a great red zone offense. So when you remove CMC from that mix, that takes us down a lot because he was huge in the red zone for us. And I don't know what's going on with IU. I don't know. I mean, he played really well.
They don't really have much wiggle room at this point.
Yeah. And you got teams like the Vikings, you got teams like the Commanders, which is blowing my mind how well they're playing. I mean, even if we get the NFC West, that's still going to be a tough ride for us to get back to the Super Bowl either way.
So who are the? I mean, we're not going to go through every team, but like from where we were in the beginning of all this 5 weeks ago, who's the contenders and who's the pretenders?
The Chiefs.
Oh, obviously.
The Chiefs.
Look, man, I know everybody wants to like rip on them because they're not the Chiefs, but it's like, bro, that's the way they're 5-0 to me is impressive. Like you're doing it basically with hardly any running game, just a makeshift wide receiver core. The line isn't great. Defense is what
travels, man.
Defense is what's keeping them in it.
Last year too, same thing. If your defense is gonna keep the game tight, then it gives Mahomes a chance at the end of the game. And what does he do? He usually delivers, right? So
that's all you got to do is give him a chance.
Exactly. Yeah. So defense has definitely been a key for the Chiefs, and if they're defense gonna play like that, then like I said, if it's a close game, Mahomes got the ball. I put my money on him, getting it done every single time. So
I would say they're one of the only teams that I could say right now that, that they're that team, that I'd expect them to contend right now. Like in the NFC, I don't know if I fully trust the Vikings. I mean, they're playing well right now. They're 5-0. I mean, I can't take that away from them. But I mean, does anybody here really believe that, they're going to sustain that? I mean, it's I guess we'll wait to see that. But to me, right now, man, I could say the Chiefs are the only team that I would say is showing that they can get there at the end.
You think they're the only team?
From what I see right now, who else has impressed you? I'm just saying right now. Not like later on. I'm saying right now.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, but you don't win a Super Bowl in Week 5, though. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, did the Texans not show something that they could possibly get in there?
Who?
4-1.
Texans look good.
Yeah,
I think Baltimore's been playing better. Baltimore's been playing better lately too.
I guess I'd say Baltimore. Baltimore could be one of those teams to run, but I was just kind of more just saying like right now. Like I'm trying to think like who would be if I had to pick a team right now to be a contender. I don't know.
I got Minnesota and Detroit right now.
Yeah, in the NFC, and Washington.
I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm not fully buying Washington yet, but I mean, they're playing well. I mean, it's still early. I got to see more from rookie quarterback. I don't think I've ever made the Super Bowl. Maybe
Marino did, right?
Roethlisberger, maybe. I don't know. Regardless, it doesn't happen. So I mean, I don't know if they're a serious contender, but they're playing pretty good right now. But yeah, I think Minnesota and Detroit right now probably in NFC.
I like Sam Darnold, man. I know that's like a easy
playing
thing to
good.
say, but I've always liked him. Like I'm not gonna be I am not Ham and say I knew he was gonna be great, but I always thought he was good and just need to be in the right. I think there's a couple guys like that. There's just like, man, environment is everything. And I said it I think I said on one of the episodes, like he even said being in San Francisco, I think San Francisco changed his whole world. Like he said that the preparation he saw Brock do made him feel like he had been lazy the whole time. And he started prepping better. And it's like, you can see it. You can see it every game. Like the confidence is there. He looks like he's prepared for those moments, for those throws, all of that. Like sometimes that's all you need, man. You just need to take
he's in a good situation too, right? Good
Yeah, we
coach,
talked about that a couple weeks
weapons,
ago.
defense. Like he's in a good spot where he doesn't, he didn't play that great this weekend, but it was a London game, division game, whatever. Right? I think it was who did they beat? Green Bay? Who did they play? That was a division game. I know they didn't play that well, but it was a London game, and he got it done. So
yeah,
I think he's in a very good environment, stable environment around him. I think that's pretty key to his success he's having this year too.
And that's crazy for them because you got to look at that too from the angle of, bro, they just basically let at the time, right? Let's just talk about at that particular time, they let Kirk Cousins walk, and everybody's like, oh. What the F? Jefferson's gonna riot, leave. Because again, that's another best receiver in football, and you just took away his quarterback. Like, but to his credit, whether it stayed in-house or whether he just didn't really hear nothing. He let it play out. They went and got Sam Darnold, not a big splash name, right? Just a 1-year contract, supposedly a gap year for McCarthy. And now it looks like if Darnold makes it through this whole year, has a great year, and he's shown that he's the guy, even like let's say he wins a playoff game, doesn't have to go to the Super Bowl. Let's say he wins a playoff game, they lose in the next round. You literally have what pick was McCarthy, like the number 3 pick or whatever he was, like
top 5, top 10, whatever,
yeah, whatever it is. That's a bargaining chip. Like either A, you can get something for him, right? Because every team's going to be looking for quarterbacks at the end of the year. Or not every, but there's going to be teams. Yeah, right. Whoever, right. So you fleece somebody, or you do he's still under contract for cheap regardless. And he plays what they do in Green Bay. He rides it for a couple of years just to make sure, whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? So, hey.
Darnold was one of those guys, though, that, even when he was on the Jets and when he was on Carolina, he still, I don't know, to me, he still showed that he had the tools to maybe be a decent quarterback. Like he wasn't like who was I'm blanking on the name right now. Who was the rookie that replaced him on the Jets? The young kid Wilson. I mean, man, when I see that guy play, he just doesn't look like he can make the throws that Darnold does, And I don't know, I think they gave up on Darnold way too quick. But he wouldn't have had the coaching staff either to get him to where he wants to go either. So,
I think the Niners, that 1 year with the Niners, I think, say what you want about the coaching staff or how they're maligned right now, but I think it did wonders for him to take a breather for a year, sit behind Brock, and be even Shanahan, like learning from that staff that's been together for so long and learning the intricacies. Yeah, stability and professionalism goes a long way. I don't care what anybody says. So before we move on, though, because it became news, the Robert going to now the Jets with the Saleh firing. Anybody have any reaction to that? I think we all saw it kind of coming. I don't know if the way that it went down, but
not that sudden.
Did we see it coming this early in the season though?
Yeah, I did.
Did you guys hear the report that supposedly he? I'm not sure if this was true. I saw this. I could have got Chatty out. I saw that supposedly he took the play calling duties away from Hackett and gave him to. Not sure the other guy's name, but that's an article. I read something that supposedly he stripped the play calling duties from Hackett and gave it to somebody else, and then he got fired. I'm not sure if that's even related at all or anything like that, but
I heard he was gonna, and then that's when he got fired, and not just got fired, but got escorted out the building. So that's what's
awesome. Crazy to me.
Of course,
yeah.
And of course, Aaron Rodgers said he loved him and met his said, bro, you ain't got to fake it. You know you didn't stand. He couldn't stand you. You couldn't stand him. It was, and that's why I thought the writing was on the wall because there was already been word that they didn't like each other, that they both were kind of like at odds. So it's like I knew Rodgers was going to win that battle. Quarterback always wins that. So
Right.
Yeah.
But did you see Aaron Rodgers go on Pat McAfee today?
yes.
I didn't see that.
You didn't see that?
I didn't see it.
Denied.
He professed his love for Robert Saleh and his warm relationship with him, and they would go frolicking and they would take the flower. I love you not. I love you. I love
Dark
you. All that
rhythm.
good stuff. Yeah,
And
all
his
slow
secret
motion.
He's
Bluetooth.
had a problem with almost every head coach, though, right? I mean, him and McCarthy, and then LaFleur. There was some time, yeah. Him and them. I know they had some. They're back and forth. So it just, I don't know. He just seems like he doesn't get along with anybody, really.
Him and Brett Favre are the Spider-Man meme. They're just the same person, man. They're exactly the same idiotic human beings. Do the same thing. Both went to the Jets. Both gonna fail with the Jets. But Favre moved on after that to what Minnesota was his last stop, right?
Yeah.
I thought Minnesota was before the Jets. No.
Yeah,
Was
it was
it?
Minnesota first, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he was still
okay.
pretty good with Minnesota. That was the whole Bounty Gate stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
They played the Saints, and after that playoff game, Favre was like, they were just taking shots at him. It was, I remember seeing pictures of him in the locker room. His body was black and blue. Saints were. They beat him up.
We're gonna have to ask Damien. That's Damien's man. We're gonna have to ask.
Brett Favre, that's a good call. Good call, David.
Favre and Rodgers. I mean, Damien's always professed.
Yeah, Damien's is he from Green Bay? I know he's a big Green Bay guy.
His admiration for Aaron Rodgers. So we're gonna have to get his
he
real.
loves him.
Yeah.
This
BFF
hope
right
he's
there.
going to get shut down in like 3 seconds somehow. All right.
Last episode.
We'll move on to happier times here in Sacramento. All right, we're going to move on to happier times. It's preseason opener. We got to get some numbers. We're going to do some math here. I was looking for my flashcards because I'm so horrible at math, right? But we got our boy,
Hey.
Will Z.
What's up, everyone?
Will Z, what's going on,
Will
Statman?
Z.
How you guys
That
doing?
shirt.
Thank
Same
you.
logo.
Nice. Oh yeah. There's a really cool picture on the back of this one, which is cool. I feel like you usually don't get the front and the back with great designs.
Whoa.
But you can't tease us and not.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well,
Can I throw a flag already?
You
That's
gotta-
Oh, it's that, Will Z.
Classic.
My goodness.
Wow, front and back. My front, my back. All right.
it is late.
It is late.
Oh
It is
man, have you
late.
guys been watching
I
the
love
game?
the guitars, bro. The guitars are
Oh,
dope,
yeah.
man. That's dope as hell.
I don't play them, but my wife does. But yeah, they look nice.
Yeah, I got the game on in the front
Yep.
and the back. I got a screen in front of me, and I got the TV on behind me.
Front and back, huh, Katrina?
Yep, I
Wow.
guess so.
Both times.
Oh man, what do you guys think so far? Yeah, that's
Kind of early, but they look like they're trying to figure some stuff out. But
yeah. That's what I was thinking too. Individual, like DeRozan. So for
Looks good.
anyone who's not watching the box score, DeRozan is 6 of 6 and hit some tough buckets. He,
Ooh, get the ball.
I think his first like 2 were in the DHO game. Nice hustle. But yeah, I love so far just the early indications of the offense seem great.
They're going to be lethal by. I'm expecting. I've said it from the beginning. It's going to be a struggle at first. There might be a losing streak here and there. There's no reason for anybody to let the panic and the sky is falling. It's anytime you put this kind of weaponry together, it's going to take time because there's always going to, especially with guys like this, where there's not really an ego or an ego within the team. I would say I think there's individual egos as far as knowing how good they are, but not within each other where they're going to want to feed each other, maybe a little bit too much at times. You're probably going to see a couple of shot clock violations here and there once in a while, rush shots at the end of it, just because it's getting cohesiveness. It's getting to know each other. Where's your spots? Where do you like it? What do you want me to do here? But at the end of the day, this is going to be an offensively just incredible offensive team. Man.
Well, I got a quick question for you. I know one of the that you like to look up, one of the numbers that you've done for every player is one thing that I've been wondering about DeMar DeRozan. What is his percentage on like wide open threes, like either catch and shoot or just those wide open threes? Like what is his make rate on those? If you've looked stuff like that up already, I was just wondering.
Yeah. I actually have that page open already, so that's super convenient. Last season, 35%. So not a huge jump. I think he was at like 30, low 30s, on the season. So not too much of a difference in terms of defender. The spot we really see the difference for him is in location, on his corner threes versus above the break threes. So last season, 39.4% from the corners, 31% from above the break. But that's just looking at one season. I could go back and look at a few. 2022, 23 on wide open looks was 32.7, and we'll do one more. Loading. 38.5. So 2 years where it didn't really jump, and then one a few years ago where it seemed to make a difference.
So I'm just wondering if that's where teams are going, because I think we all kind of agree that they're probably going to leave Keon open if he's the starter most of the time. But I'm wondering if teams will not allow DeMar to have that shot, but if that's where he's going to get most of his wide open looks.
Mm-hmm.
Will, is there a stat that you're focusing on that you're hoping the Kings improve on this year?
I think so far, just the offensive rebounds. That's been Mike Brown has been talking about that just nonstop. And in case anyone missed it, it all came down from Monty. So Monty McNair had the idea and kind of the analytics to support going for offensive rebounds. And Mike Brown, they tried it at the end of last year. The Kings were one of the best in the league at limiting transition points. And I think he was fine with it as long as they could continue to do that. And they did last season. And now going into this year, that seems to be a main point of emphasis. So far tonight, they only have 2 offensive rebounds.
2, but it's double what the Warriors have. That's good, right?
Yeah, well, Warriors are at 2 as well.
Oh, they just got 1. All right, never mind.
Yeah.
Check your stats, Kyron.
Be about to jump.
It just happened, Drew. Damn it.
But it's early. But you just like to see, I think, the early impact of their main point of emphasis in a game like this, with the role players especially.
I was reading your article earlier today, Will, that you had put out on where the Kings were 3rd last year at 39.3 in three-point attempts. Warriors right behind them at 38.9.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you were talking about the offensive rebound, they were 12th in the league. Do you see them around that same point? Because I know they've addressed a lot of things, but I think one of the things they did not address in the offseason necessarily was size, right? Size, and I'm not sure about the athleticism part of it yet. But do you foresee them going up in rebounding? Do you think offensive rebounding, they will hit the boards a little bit harder?
I think so, especially because it doesn't take much to climb the ranks. The Knicks were first in the league last year at, I think, 12.7 or somewhere right around there, which is less than 2 between where the Kings were last year and the top. So it's not going to take much to rise into the top 5 or so. I think that it's bringing in players and emphasizing the hustle of it, and going for more hustle rebounds than size rebounds, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And so far, it seems like they've brought in a lot of players who have that skill set too. Isaac Crawford, great offensive rebounder in college. So that's where he kind of brings that different look at the center position than like Trey Lyles coming off the bench. Trey, smart rebounder, but not quite as athletic. So will be interesting to see how the just those role players and the hustle that they put into it.
Will, do you know, and again, you would know this stuff better than us, but when, this emphasis on offensive rebounding, are they going to emphasize, and I haven't read every single thing about it, are they going to be emphasizing guard rebounding, or, I know it's team rebound, but I mean, just are they going to put a little bit of emphasis on the guards?
I think it'll be I've heard the term crash zones, so I think it'll end up where they are on the court when the shot takes place. So it'll be less positions, more locations. We don't know what those are. I know the media wasn't told, and I don't think it's been circulated around on social media that I've seen. But hopefully whoever is in those spots, I assume will be guards at some point. So more than likely, yes.
Yeah, I think what you said about the hustle rebounds versus the size rebounds. I think with so much 3-point shooting going on these days, a lot of the rebounds aren't traditional rebounds, like you said, right? A lot of them they're bouncing out. They're not just right underneath the basket. The long shots create long rebounds. So I definitely see what you mean about the hustle rebounds, because there's a lot of offensive rebounds, kind of like you said, just knowing where to be. It's not always underneath the basket. It's kind of watching the shot and recognizing, where the ball is going to bounce, and like you said, put some hustle into it. So that makes a lot of sense, Will.
Yeah. And I think Mike too, I think we saw this right when Rashard Holmes was there, and his role shifted really quickly once they got Sabonis, right? He kind of found himself to be the odd man out. And I think when them getting DeRozan out too, and a couple of years of Mike seeing what he has, what they brought in, I think you might even see a dynamic change on who is in not the starters, obviously, but the back end of who he brings in during the games. It might shift too, depending on what everybody brings in that first month or two. Just whatever's going to work for the team is what he's going to go with. Mike isn't shy about yanking people and putting in the people he thinks are going to do the most damage and do what they're supposed to do. So I think, like you said, with the couple of those new guys that you were talking about, like they might end up playing a bigger role than what people think at the end of the day.
Which is just so exciting to me too, because I don't know why. I love, especially preseason games like this, I love watching the end of the bench guys. That's the whole reason Summer League is so fun. Sabonis with a nice mid-range make. Looked super confident there. That's going to be a big thing, I think. Yeah, the Sabonis mid-range. Yeah.
I'm wondering too, Will, what we're going to see with the addition to DeMar. One of the things that it seemed like the Kings, when they kind of got out of sorts, like midway through third quarter most of the time, it's because they start chucking up threes. I wonder, I don't know if there's a statistic or anything like that, but with DeMar on the floor, I wonder, if there's going to be more of an emphasis on taking those mid-range shots, or if they're going to drive to the basket more. I don't even know, if there's a stat for that, but I was wondering just how many, 3-point shots, they're going to take per quarter, if they're going to, launch them up again, or if they are going to start to, take more elbow shots and things like that. I don't know. It's just, I'm kind of interested to see that.
Yeah. I think two ways to look at it. The first I'm going to do is pull up the Kings shooting by quarter. There's almost all the different filters are depending on which page you land on NBA.com. You land in a different filter.
Well, it's kind of a weird thing I'm asking, but I think that's what a lot of us in the chat a lot of the times say, oh man, here they go again, start chucking up threes. And I wonder now with the addition of DeMar, if they can, he can even be a little bit better. How Harrison Barnes used to kind of settle the team down and post up or whatever. I wonder how good DeMar is at that, and if Fox will start to take a little bit more mid-range shots too.
Yeah, I know they were pretty low in the league in terms of mid-range field goal attempts. 8.8 mid-range field goal attempts per game last year. That was 25th in the league. And they were pretty low in the restricted area as well. 23.4 for for 27th in the league. So they didn't get inside a ton, and they didn't shoot in the mid-range a ton. Where they did shoot a lot was the threes, like you said, but also in the floater area. So just kind of that extended paint. 19.4 attempts per game, third most in the league. And I think that we'll see kind of that number probably stay the same. Hopefully the restricted area and like right at the rim attempts can go up too, but definitely that mid-range, that's going to go up with DeRozan just on his own. He led the league with like 6 point something mid-range field goal attempts last season. So him and Fox alone will probably get 10 looks, throw in a few from Monk, Sabonis, and Keegan. And yeah, definitely will go up from 8.8 last year.
Did McNair came from Houston, right? He was under what's the liar's name? Daryl Morey.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know obviously the Warriors and Rockets had a lot of battles, and the Rockets that was their whole philosophy was 3-pointers and layups, right? They pretty much kind of eliminated, or try to eliminate any mid-range shots because based on their advanced analytics, whatever, 3-pointers and layups were, obviously probably the most efficient plays in the game. We all remember that they missed 27 in a row. I think the Rockets in that one game. So I'm curious if McNair, if that was his influence in Houston, or if that's where some of his influence may come from his time in Houston, with that 3-pointer and layup. And I wonder if that's kind of some of the influence he's had on how the Kings and how they operate on offense.
Yeah, it's a really interesting combination with putting DeRozan in that mix, because I think we know Monty is a pretty analytics heavy guy. I don't know what that entails. I would love to. Monty, if you ever want to let us know what you're looking at over there, would love to see it. But I feel like if you're going to bring in DeRozan, he's going to take that shot. So therefore, you have to be kind of ready for it and okay with it. But it is really interesting to see that combo of the non-mid-range GM, or at least whatever his role was with the Rockets, lean into it a little bit more with the DeRozan signing. But he must like whatever he sees.
Well, when the Kings wise up and hire you to do their analytical work, then you could pass that information on to us.
Perfect.
Inside source. I like it.
So it's halftime now, and the Kings are up by 2. Is there anything you've noticed stat-wise that we should probably be focusing for the second half?
Yeah, let's give just a general. I'll just kind of go through. Can I share my screen? Is that a thing?
Yeah, it should be.
Full screen. Present?
Yeah, hit present and there's share screen from there.
I don't know if the YouTube writes on this. Is this a bad idea?
Well, if we get fired, we'll let you know.
Better stay safe. Maybe you can just summarize it for us.
Yeah, I'll summarize it. We can ask for future reference. Sure. But yeah, so round up 68-66. What Kings are up. DeRozan 6 of 6 from the field for 15 points. Keegan 4 of 6. Sabonis 5 of 7. Fox 5 of 10. Monk 4 of 7. Like all shooting really well. None of the Keon 1 of 2 hasn't shot much, which is probably going to be normal for him.
What were Buddy Hield stats in the first half, if you don't mind?
Oh, Buddy had a really great.
Just curious. I wasn't watching the game really. I didn't know if he did good at all.
16 points, 6 of 6 from the field, 4 of 4 from 3.
Damn,
Rebound and assist, no turnovers. Honestly, and someone who said it, someone said Buddy is perfect for the Warriors, and I kind of agree. I think he.
Thank you, Will. Thank you.
Yeah, a really good fit for that roster, especially off the bench. Like he's not shy.
I mean, they don't have anything to lose, so I mean,
yeah.
Him and Draymond are gonna be. They're gonna.
It's true though. No, Draymond makes him easier to play on the defensive side. Like it just
Thank you.
Buddy, if he's in the right system, has the potential to thrive. I think that's what we all thought he was going to be in the Sixers. It just didn't work out. But
I mean, wasn't so that far he's supposed to have been that for every team he's been on in He always loads the suckers in at first.
I know. He's probably getting me again. But
no, Will, you're an unbiased party, dude. It's nice to hear somebody with an unbiased opinion. It's not somebody who, who's using their personal, opinion to get in the way of just watching the game. So I appreciate
not a biased opinion. I
appreciate your take. I appreciate your take on this, Willsy. Thank you, brother.
Yeah. Oh man. Some other numbers that stand out: 26 points in the paint to 10 for the Warriors, 6 second chance points to 0, and 7 fast break points to 3. Some really good peripheral stats there, where you're winning all of those battles, especially the points in the paint.
Let's see what happens. I don't even know if the starters are going to play that second half. So
yeah,
it might be the last we've seen of those guys.
If that's it, they look great.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah. Both teams do, to be honest. I mean, it's a stalemate pretty much at this point. So
I really want to know what Bob Myers is saying right now.
No one.
I don't think you do.
No one wants to know.
I think I'm kind of with Will. I'm curious to see, at the end of the bench guys, to see how they play, like what, because we do have on the bench, again, some of the guys you mentioned, they are a little bit different than the player, than the starters. They're different body types, they're different players. I want to see how they're going to fit in the system, and if they, again, how they defend, how they, a player like Mason Jones, he's easily an example. I want to see how that guy, guards on the perimeter. Who out of those guys, Will, I know you mentioned a few, but who else are you looking at, and what are you looking to see from some of those guys, either stat wise or just just your overall opinion on them?
Yeah. Colby Jones is someone that I'll be watching too, just because I feel like he had some good minutes at the end of last season, but hasn't really been talked about at all this year. So see if he gets any run and how he looks. I haven't seen much of Boogie Ellis. I don't watch college basketball, so I haven't seen him play much. So I'm excited to see him, especially with the McLaughlin injury. There's some potential minutes there. Monk might get all the backup point guard minutes, but some potential there. And then just Isaac Jones and Mason Jones, all the Joneses, I guess, to see
Right
how
over
they.
there.
Dude,
did you think that was going to mute your sound, or
you got to mute and turn the camera off?
Hey, bro, if you're going to do a line, just do the line on YouTube. I mean,
fair. We got Will Z on here.
No
noises, kinds of crap.
Hey, Will, so is there a stat, like a obscure stat, that you think is important going into the year, like something that maybe you realize or discovered that doesn't really come up that often?
Trying to think of one. I don't know.
Way to put him on the spot.
Deflections, I know. Deflections.
I thought it was a smart
I feel like
question.
we talk about those a lot. It's a great question. I just can't think of a great answer. No, but I think maybe deflections, but that gets talked about a lot. I think where I struggle is I just talk about any stat that I find.
That's why you rose these stats.
Yeah, so maybe deflections and individually Fox's steals. I want to see if last season, because he went at a ridiculous rate to end the year to become the league leader in steals. And is that something that is going to carry over, or was that kind of an anomaly at the end of the year? Now I'm curious. I want to look up what he had in like a certain amount of games. So give me a sec. What do you guys think? Like, what's a stat that you wish I could find or have on your mind?
That's actually a good one, Will. And the reason why I say that is I wonder with the addition of DeMar and if Keon starts, if that'll kind of free up Fox to make those, those free safety kind of, plays where he can kind of roam and go for more steals. I wonder if DeMar and Keon will kind of take some of that pressure off him offensively. Not Keon, but DeMar will take a little bit of more pressure off him offensively. And if Fox goes for, more steals and that generates more steals for him, I don't know.
because Fox would pace himself a lot. Like I know a lot of people were frustrated with that at times, and you would hear a lot of jabber about why isn't he taking over at this point or that point. He's a very much a pace player where he kind of balls up that energy for bursts. It seems like, right? And I think going to your point, David, is that having all these outlets now on the offensive side, like it provides him a little bit more of being able to pace himself a lot more. Like he doesn't have to be Mr. Clutch every time. Like there's so many different. It's whoever's hot really, and that's how they usually play anyway. But just he has so much energy. He's going to be able to dispel on the defensive end now. Like you said, like I would not be surprised to see his steals go up at all. Like at the end of the day, I think they will.
So to follow up, in the last 34 games, he averaged 2.5 steals per game, which he ended up leading the league at, I think, 2.1. So just super consistent with it, but a few games with like 6, 5, another 6. But yeah, the riding the hot hand and saving energy, I think Brown's talked about that as well, where having so many different offensive players who can get going, or just being more of a off-ball player on offense, even if he's not taking the shot, just more off-ball movement, getting easy shots. Did you guys see that play in the first quarter where it's like the double screen and Keon went through the screeners and Fox backdoor cut off of it? Was so pretty. Like you'll see the highlight. It's going to be on social media. And just an easy layup. He actually missed the first layup, blew the wide open one, but got it on the putback. And just getting looks like that out of the high-powered offense too could help keep him fresh for later on in games as well.
Drew, have you caught any of the documentaries yet?
No, I don't have Netflix or
What?
ESPN Plus. I know we kind of switch around on them. Like we'll take turns with which ones we have. So Netflix is on the shelf right now, and I'll definitely get to it. Soon,
Hit me up afterwards.
Yeah, I'm like,
I got you.
It's also with the
I got
new
you.
sharing rules. Netflix is tough.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
they are legit with the not sharing passwords, so that's part of it too. But super cool for Deuce and Mo. Like that's awesome that
That was cool on Clutch. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see. And they kind of like they kind of were showing that part too of like Fox went kind of bananas with the steals, and they were showing a couple of those highlights. So that reminded me of that when you said that. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
I wonder, Will, if there's, again, you don't have to do this right now, but I think we did talk about it last season. How many games the Kings won where Harrison Barnes, scored 15 or 20 points more? And the reason why I bring that up, I think DeMar is going to be way more consistent scoring than obviously than Harrison Barnes, and I just wonder how much that is going to help the Kings. Obviously a lot. But I just wonder, if how many games the Kings won when Harrison scored, over 15 or 16 points a game.
Yeah. So let's.
And again, you don't have to look that up right now, but I mean, I'm
trying to remember the general. I know Damien and Kenny looked it up.
Yeah.
I remember laughing because Damien was like hand counting them, and I thought that was funny. But I know the number for DeRozan for games over 15 points was like 73 out of 79 games or something like that. Like he was just so consistent last year and throughout the whole course of his career. Interesting. Switching that out for Barnes, where you don't necessarily have to rely on DeRozan to have a big night to win, but you can probably rely on him to be at least around the 10 to 12 range at a minimum, is such a luxury for any team to have. And throw in, I think DeRozan is about the same as Barnes on defense, maybe better. I don't know. Well, I'll have to watch more, but definitely the offensive upgrade in terms of consistency. And that's not a knock on Barnes. I still think he's a really good player. I just think that his role in the Kings offense didn't match his skill sets that they needed.
I think it had plateaued at that point. Like it just, like you said, it's partly that. And I just think at that point he was who he was. And as much as people wanted him to be what they wanted him to be, that just wasn't what he was. And it's one of those things where like, hey man, this is what you're gonna get. And like I know it's frustrating at times, but you know, at the end of the day, you either continue with that or you find another direction, which is what they did. He went somewhere where I think he's invaluable as a leader. And I think he'll help some of that growth with the Spurs. And we ended up with DeRozan, who's gonna like Dr. Dave said, he's gonna definitely be a more consistent. We don't know what he's going to have, right? We don't know what his average will be, but it'll probably be somewhere between that 15 and that 20-point range, we would hope. And I think the numbers on that aren't really important because there's going to be so much spreading of the wealth. It's just more about the cohesiveness of them playing together. And that in a nutshell is probably more important than anything else. I think everybody's careers kind of get a little bit longer because of this pickup. Like just a lot more, like you said, a lot more ball to share, and we'll see what happens.
Wills, do you have a team that we should maybe be on the lookout for this year outside of the Kings?
Ooh, I don't yet. I really like the Thunder. I like Hartenstein a lot. Thought he was great for the Knicks, and to pair him with Chet will be a really good combo. So the Thunder, but that's a trendy pick that everyone says. I don't know. I had to look at. It's always hard for me in the beginning of the season because there's no numbers to look at. It's where I was like writing the preview article today. I was like, this is so dumb, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So I think it'll be something like 5 games in to after I get kind of a piece of the puzzle of what teams look like. But in terms of just main moves in the West, really intrigued about how the Thunder are going to look and if they're going to be that kind of big name team in the West, like true contender out of the group, or if they'll be in kind of the main grouping with the other teams again. Did they set themselves apart? What about it, all of you? Who do you have your eyes on?
Other than the Kings,
I'm with Ramsey.
Could be just the Kings.
I got the Spurs actually coming up a little bit. I think Wemby's going to be even better than we expect from the rookie season. I think that's going to be a solid team.
Yeah.
I don't know about making the playoff. Oh, I'm sorry, Katrina. Go ahead.
That's okay. Having the vets, having CP and HB on the team, I think he's going to improve a lot this season.
Yeah. There's another clip floating around where a defensive highlight of his where he just like is so far away from the shooter and guarding someone else, but he still blocks it. It's ridiculous. Like
he's
he
so
alone
crazy to see. Has anyone seen him in person?
No, not me.
Crazy.
It's insane.
Crazy.
Like
just watching him move.
And that always worries me, just because anybody that tall is, it's like with Yao Ming, where it's, I mean, not the same thing, but like as far as height, where a human being isn't supposed to be that big, and usually there's a reason for that, and that's where you see all the injuries kind of pile up a lot of times, and it's because it's no human being that big is supposed to be able to run up and down the floor and take those cuts like that on a consistent basis without at some point it breaking down. So I love the kid. I love his enthusiasm, everything about it. So I always like, man, just let this one guy go through, God. You know, like I know you've had issues with some of these other guys, but he's a good kid, man. Let this kid be the next. Let him be the next face of the league. You know, like he's got all the talent and the charisma in the world. So
I don't know about a playoff run, but I think the Rockets are going to be a tough team the Kings play against again. You know, they're big, athletic, and you know, and then to Mr. Warrior man up there, I I don't know, man. I don't see this fall off that everybody's predicting. I mean, I said it in the chat earlier. I think Drew saw it. Man, Steph makes people better. And if Trace Jackson Davis and Kuminga and even Moody take a step, man, the Kings they're not going to walk through a team like that. And they could be right at that, 45 to 48 win team just like the Kings. So, we're going to have our work cut out for us.
It's a lot of ifs though for them to do though, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're one of those teams. There's always those couple teams that I think they're right in the middle of where you could easily see them go up, or you could easily just see them plummet, right? Like you just don't know until you see what all those pickups they did and the subtraction to the. For me, it's the ticking time bomb of Dre, though. It's I mean, at what point does he become disgruntled? At what point does he get mad about something? Does he do something to cause the whole thing to like spiral? And I'm not saying it's just him because it's not always just him, but
it is.
Dude at this point has so much leeway to do whatever the hell he wants. Like things that he says half the time it's just such man, like he could easily be something that holds them together and just as much be the thing that is their ultimate demise during the season. Like, and I really don't think Steph, as much as he's had his back throughout the years, now that Clay is gone, I think some of that is gone. I think he's wary of him to an extent. Like, I think they'll still have a close bond and all that, but if dude does one more, like he stomps on somebody or hits somebody again, like I think that's it, man. I don't think you can keep him around anymore. You can nod your head all you want, bro, but how are you going to justify it?
But I think Steph was wary of him last year, and again, they were right in that mix with the Kings and the Lakers and everybody, in the play-in. I said, man, I mean, I don't care, man. Until Steph is off that team, they're always gonna scare me.
That's exactly it. I agree. As long as the Warriors have Steph,
got a shot.
Can't count them out. Kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Mahomes.
Yeah.
Can't count them out.
Drew, you watch them more than anybody else. I mean, you could talk about their pickups and what do you think what's their ceiling?
I love Clay, but at times he's like a black hole on offense. So I don't know. I'm in wait and see mode.
What's your expectation? I mean, you got to have something. I mean, what's your expectations? What to you is what are you expecting? It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but what do you think is going to happen?
Playing at least.
If you were Leeds and you were a betting man.
At least playing game. At least that.
Okay.
So somewhere 6 to 10.
Do you think they're a contender? As currently constructed.
Fringe.
Okay. So that's my worry a little bit
in
too.
The West.
Yeah.
I was going to ask Will, is there because we kind of asked who do you see making a jump or even surprising you? I guess I could narrow it down because we've been talking about the Warriors, Kings, teams that are a little bit more veteran heavy this year. Are there any of the younger teams like, the Orlandos, the Rockets, the Spurs? Like, do you see any of those teams, if we could narrow it down for you, like making a jump, and whether that's, I don't know if there's a stat for that, statistically, offensively or defensively or whatever. Do you see any of those younger teams possibly making a jump to try to get into that play-in or even a playoff spot?
I think someone said the Rockets. I think are again. I really like the Rockets. I like what they've done. I think they have a really good defensive-minded group, and with a lot of young players that can grow on that team and grow together. Jalen Green will be. I have no idea what he's going to look like this year, and just like as an NBA player. So I think the Rockets are probably at the top of the list in terms of young teams that I'll be keeping an eye on.
I agree. Who's their coach over there?
Ime Udoka.
That's right. I couldn't. For some reason, I couldn't remember the coach.
And have them ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Memphis has got a hard crash coming. A hard crash coming.
Yeah. Did anyone? What's Jaw's ankle
Oh,
situation?
I saw the
He
play,
good?
but I haven't heard anything about it. I mean, he had some incredible plays that game too. Like I was like, whoa! Like everybody forgets he was the face of the league for about half a season. Like he was the next big thing, and then everything kind of spiraled after that. But nobody can deny that when he's healthy and when he's not in trouble, just pretty unguardable. Like dude is pretty a one-man wrecking crew. I just don't know what else they have. Even when he's healthy, I don't. What else do they have over there? Like, there's not much.
Yeah,
there.
I don't think Bane is the type of player who can lead a team.
He can shoot.
I was going to do
Yeah.
without Adams.
I'd love to have him. I think he's great. But yeah, I don't know if he's like a number one type guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I mean, I think
go ahead.
That big. Then I was just going to say, sorry, Manny. I was just saying, Jaw having that big body. Steven Adams down there. He took up a lot of space, and he set a lot of them screens for him. I wonder how. I don't see Jaren Jackson Jr. Doing that for him. So I'm wondering how that plays in. But like you were saying, Manny, I mean, you can't deny the guy's talent. He gives everybody trouble. So
he's a top 5 player in the league when he's on. Like, again, he's unguardable. Like, dude does some of the most. I mean, even that game, was that yesterday or the day before that where he got hurt? Some of the things he was doing before he got hurt were insane. I was like, dude. But then that he twisted his ankle, and I was like, oh, here we go. So I don't know. But I just see a hard fall coming for them, and then I don't know what happens with him, because if his maturity level isn't there yet, then he's going to become disgruntled, and that becomes an issue of him wanting out or whatever the case may be. So, I don't know, man. I guess it's a wait and see. I mean, Will, do you have any bold predictions? Anything that I mean, I know you concentrate a lot on the Kings, but I know you're a basketball hoop fan in general. So
I just don't see the Celtics losing. It's not very bold. They're so good. Like, they were ridiculously good last year. So just, is it bold? Probably not that bold to say that I think the Celtics are going to win again this year, barring injuries.
I think it kind of is, though. It's hard to back to back.
It is.
Like, I mean, I get it. They're there. They're at the top until somebody takes them out. But I also think if you're taking a step back and looking at it, like a lot of teams have tried to do that throughout history, it is very hard, especially after Olympics too. Like a couple of their main guys were, I mean, even though one of them rested I guess he didn't really play, but he was there. So he was overseas. But it's still, man. Yeah, well, but that's the thing. You're away from your family. Like you still have obligations, whether it's with the media or whatever. You're still in basketball mode. So it's still, and then you don't even know what you're going to get out of Porzingis. I mean, I know whether he played in that finals, he was still a big part of that team for a long period of. So he helped them get to that point. So you still don't know, he's not back, and you don't know how frail he really is at times. You just don't know. It's hard, man. I don't even know, especially nowadays, it's hard to even keep teams intact. So with the money situation and everything, they seem to have paid everybody though. So
right.
And Horford has got, at some point, Father Time does have to do something with Horford. Like,
I know think that's true. Oh, he's just gonna keep playing at a high level for forever.
Like he's the
72 out there making threes.
He's the second tier of LeBron. Where LeBron beat Father Time, he's that next tier, because obviously he's not on that level, but he's that second tier of beating Father Time. Like, bro, where at the crossroads did you meet the devil and that you made this deal? I've seen the movie. I know it happens. Like, come on, man. Like, this dude is forever young. I swear he does this real well. It's insane.
Maybe that's
And
the
he's
scale. You have the LeBron James, then you have the Adonis Haslam. So where is he on the LeBron James Adonis Haslam scale?
But Adonis Haslam didn't play for like 10 years. Like he literally just sat on the bench
He
for
was there,
10
though.
years. Like God bless him. I love that dude. But he like for literally like the last 5 years of his career, he was just a cheerleader and he was a mentor. For sure, it's not like he didn't do anything, but he definitely did get played time. But like Horford plays minutes sometimes. Like he'll get some 20-some minutes a game, which is insane. Like, oh, okay. Everyone should want a Horford on their team. That's for sure.
Yeah,
he'd be great on the Kings. I know that.
he would. In that Trey Lyles role, it'd be great.
Yeah, he's a winner. Like that's not said enough about some of the guys that do like him, Bobby Portis, guys like that they do the dirty work. They're not afraid of the moment if they have to be in it, and whatever it is you need them to do, they not only do it, but they do it at a high level at their position. And there's something to be said where I love this Kings team. Don't get me wrong. Like I think they're going to be great. I do think at some point they're gonna need a bruiser like that. Somebody in that row of like the Horford, the Bobby. Like I thought Bobby. I mean, it's never gonna happen, but a couple years of Bobby Portis in Sacramento would have been nuts. Like I think what he brings would have brought them to even a higher level. So if they can find somebody like that in that mode, I think that's their next tier that they're going to have to go to, right? Like right now, we see the steps they're taking to be that championship team. But I think there's still that one player that's going to end up at some point when we're at the parade and I'm running around like Frank the Tank and out of my mind. And people are asking me why this dude with a Bulls tattoo is running around. I'm going to have a Kings tattoo somewhere on me at that point. I'm not going to tell you where, but it's going to be somewhere. And there's going to be that player that everyone's that's not here right now that's going to help take us to that point. And I'm excited to see that happen, man. I'm excited.
I guess it'd be a good question for Will too. Will, like statistically, other than a player like Portis, is there, and again, this is kind of hypotheticals and things like that, is there like a perfect player that you would want the Kings to get? Like it doesn't have to be somebody attainable. It could be just a dream scenario, but is there a player that you see out there statistically who would just fit with this team that you would think that would complete them, whether it's the starting lineup or off the bench? Like, what's something that you would see or that you would want to get?
I think it was Lauri Markkanen. I still think he would have been the perfect starter to go along this group as well. Like his size, his skill set, his 3-point shooting, he doesn't need the ball in his hands. You could have slid Keegan more down to the 3. So it completely changes like the offseason of Keegan where we've seen him bulk up. It changes that. And obviously the Kings know the direction they wanted to go between that. But Lauri was just so good. But it's so weird to think about him now because I'm so happy with DeRozan. And they're such different players where even if you think it's perfect, nice little dribble handoff from Scal. Even if you think it's perfect, there's still so many options and players that can help.
Yeah, I think that right now it's just patience, man. Like, listen, it does. If something pops up before trade deadline that we can get without mortgaging, right, what we're trying to mortgage, then you grab it. If not, you run with this team and you address it in the next offseason. Like, I understand. I know everybody's giddy and wants to win now and all that. And yes, I do think that DeMar does have a shelf life to an extent, right? Because Father Time's coming for him too at some point. But you got to be patient. Got to be patient, man. You broke the 16-year drought. Cool. Had a semi-small step back last year, a little bit, right? A lot of things happened to cause that. We've addressed some of those issues this year. Be excited for this year. See what happens. I think right now you're playing with house money at this point because of everything they did, and you just got to see what unfolds. You always got to pray for good health, right? Because that's never guaranteed. You just don't ever know. We learned that last year with Monk. And let's just see what we have, and away we go. And just, man, enjoy this. I tell you, fans, man, enjoy the season. Enjoy. Drew's gone through it. I've gone through a six-year greatest team ever, and then watched 20 years of shit almost until Rose got there. And then that was good, and then it became shit again. And it's just, you learn in that. I say this in all honesty. You learn going through that. Cherish and love in the moment things, because nothing's guaranteed in any sport. In any sport, nothing's guaranteed. So even if this team were to be, I'm not wishing it, guys, don't get on me, the Buffalo Bills of the NBA, that still was an incredible run. Like, you still got to enjoy that they were killing everybody for the longest. You know what I'm saying? So enjoy that. Enjoy that you're relevant. Enjoy you're going to be on a lot of channels. People are going to want to see, like, enjoy the team for what it is. And man, let's light the beam as much as possible, especially tonight. You know what I'm saying? Right, Drew? Right. All right, man. We went over a little bit. Will, man, you're the best. Tell everybody where they can find you so that they can look up your amazing stats.
Yeah, on X, formerly Twitter, Threads, Instagram, and hop on over to Kings on SI. Just search that, and you'll see all the articles there for the written content. And excited for the season, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, and you'll see him on D-Lo and KC a lot this year too, I'm sure. And hopefully he'll come back and join us again during the season. Mm-hmm. We'll have some fun. Love your baby. Tell your wife we said we love her. We thank everybody for joining us, right? Everybody, thank you for coming through. And I don't think we don't have any plans for the next show yet, so we'll get all that together. But see you guys next time.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Will, for coming on with us.
Thanks,
guys.
Chatty House.